So we're gonna roll to see how far he charges. Doesn't really have to roll very much, but
all important charge. Well, let's measure right now to see what we need to have. So that's
you're gonna need a 6.
I would need 6.
Yeah, your closest is 5.5 inches. So you need 6. And you fail it.
I would actually fail that charge.
But we have a special rule in this one where if you fail it, you re-roll.
Alright.
And we override the rule that re-rolls always count, that you just keep re-rolling until you make it. So roll again.
We're assuming they do.
Until you make at least a 6, because it will matter what you roll.
Now,
how far
if you have fleet, you can re-roll. And so
one or
on
more.
a WOG turn, when I call WOG, all my infantry get fleet. There's a few exceptions when they don't. But boys get fleet, and so I would be able to re-roll anyway.
Let's pretend that you WOG this turn.
Then I WOG.
Wow, you suck.
Yeah.
But you WOG'd again.
Yes,
You WOG'd the second time. Oh, there we go. There's our minimum.
Wow.
Well, that'll be good. It'll show us, because actually that'll work out for you, because it'll keep my guys in the back a little harder for them to get in the fight. So you move closest to closest, as usual. You have to try to get into base contact as much as possible. No, you got to stay in coherency.
That's true after the first one.
Yeah. That hasn't changed. That was a 6th edition, or a 5th edition thing too. So only one guy is able to get into base contact, but you should be okay, because everybody else will be within 2 inches of that one guy.
And you get to pile in first, because I think, well, we'll see that.
Well, we'll go into pile-in a second. So there is his charge. Unlike 5th edition, there is no pile-in. But there is a different kind of pile-in, which we'll cover in a second. So now we're going to resolve every initiative, starting at 10, going all the way down to 1. My guys are initiative 4, his boys are initiative 2, and his power claw is unwieldy, so it is initiative 1. So we will just skip all the initiative steps that we don't have, obviously, and we will go straight down to initiative 4. So the very first thing that happens on an initiative step is everybody at that initiative gets to pile in 3 inches. And I believe this is a must pile in 3 inches.
Yeah, you have to, if you can, the pile in has to get you in the base-to-base contact.
Yeah.
And if you can't, then you have to try to get into combat, which is 2 inches of someone in base-to-base.
Yeah, so we're just going to be moving up 3 inches here. So I actually really like this, because this is going to make combats a little more dynamic. Because before we had strange circumstances where by the time you got to somebody, they were like 4 or 5 inches away from the actual combat because their initiative was so low, and yet they could still strike because that's what the rule said. So basically just moving straight towards the combat as much as I possibly can. Okay, so now that I've done my pile-in, now I get to make my attacks. And so it's just like 5th edition, where it's guys in base contact can attack, as well as guys who are within 2 inches of a guy in base contact. So what you do is you measure your 2 inches from the guys in base contact to see which ones are in. So these 2 back here are not within 2 inches. And this guy is, obviously that guy is not. And, okay, so we got 4 guys who are not in. Okay?
And they, with a 6-inch pile in, they all would have easily been in before.
Yeah, so 3 inches, they're not all in. So that means that we have 8 guys not in the combat because 4 are dead and 4 are not in. So that leaves us with 22 attacks. They're only 1 attack each, so 5, 10, 15, 22. I have exactly 22 dice right here. So your weapon skill is 4, mine is 3. So that hasn't changed. I'm going to hit on 4s and I'm going to wound on 5s because I'm strength 3 against your toughness 4.
Okay.
So that hasn't changed. 4s and 5s. Ooh, crappy roll to start. Really want to make sure those boys win this one. Look at that. Look at that. Look at those misses. And then we have 5s. And that is above average, so that kind of makes up for it. These are just normal close combat weapons, so they have no AP, which means you get your 6+ saves. And you actually make 2 of them.
Yeah, that was...
So 4 die. And so what we do is it's still closest to farthest. Now, since you have 5 guys in base contact, you get to choose which one survives. So which one survives?
The one that's hardest to get to.
So this one?
No, the guy over there.
Okay, so 4 die. So it is the defending player's choice which ones die when there are more than 1 at exactly the same distance. Right. So that is initiative 4, so now we're going to go to initiative 2 because there is no initiative 3. And just before you go, correct me saying, but they charge and they have Furious Charge, so they are initiative 3.
Furious Charge no longer gives +1 initiative. Sad face.
Which against most armies won't be that big a deal, but against Necrons it is a big deal.
Right.
Who are all initiative 2, and so you'll be striking them at the same time.
Oh,
Still gives +1 strength, unless you do an unwieldy, or what do you call that? The The disorganized charge, where you go charge multiple things, then you don't get the +1 strength. So initiative 2, first you do your pile-in move.
Yes, so 3 inches.
Everybody but the knob moves 3 inches. It's pretty straightforward.
Yep.
So you've got only 5 guys left. So you've taken some severe casualties.
Right.
And so 5 guys with 4 attacks each on the charge. So they're going to have 20 attacks still. That's just sick. Alright, now these guys are higher weapon skill than my guys, so they're 3+ to hit, and they're strength 4, so they're 3+ to wound. So you should theoretically do a lot better, especially since you rolled a lot better than I did my first one.
Whatever.
Now, do the Overwatch kills count towards combat resolution?
I do not believe so.
We'll double check that right before we do combat resolution. 3s to wound.
Oh,
no. Then you rolled like I rolled my... So I can kill up to 5 in total.
That's it?
Yeah.
Uh-oh. I'm in trouble.
You killed 5, so you're still going to win combat. I was about to pull them from the back again. So basically, these guys are all in base contact, so I can just choose any of them. So 1, 2. It doesn't really matter. Your knob will be with him. Oh yeah, you still have your knob. Oh, he's going to like kill as many as they just killed by himself.
No.
So I lost 5. So now we go down to initiative step 1. So he moves 3 inches. Try to get into base contact. And then he gets to his attack. So he has 4 attacks.
He has 4 attacks.
So hit on 3s. And then it's high strength.
So
2s. Ooh, got 3 wounds. Now this one is AP 2. It doesn't matter. As long as it's AP 6, you'll kill these guys. So as once again about to pull from the back. You killed 3 guys, right?
Yes.
So I'll take the guy base contact. It has to be. And then looks like these 2 are the closest. Interesting how it looks kind of funny.
Yeah, it's very much more...
It actually looks like they're charging through and destroying guys.
Yeah, I like it.
So, just before we go into combat resolution, we're just going to look up the rule whether Overwatch kills do count towards combat resolution. So, we did double check. Overwatch wounds do not count towards combat resolution. So
Overwatch is in the assault subphase, and wounds for...
the fight subphase.
Is only fight subphase. Wounds only done in the fight subphase, so like Hammer of Wrath and everything after that, that counts towards combat resolution. Nothing else.
Exactly. So you killed 8 termagants, and I killed...
6.
No, that was including...
4.
It was 4 that died. So I lose combat by 4. And so here's an interesting thing. I thought being fearless, I was like, yeah, I'll just be fearless, I'll take the extra wounds. But we looked it up, and fearless no longer takes extra wounds when losing combat. So that's going to make orc boys and large mobs and Tyranids and other things that are fearless more of a tar pit, because now you're not... Because right now you would have just inflicted in 5th edition 4 more wounds, which I most likely would have lost at least 3 of. Now mind you, still lots of termagants left over, but that was mostly because the charge didn't go over so well. Here I was thinking of throwing out a group of 30 termagants would just be easy pickings for you.
Happened before in the past.
Yeah, no kidding.
Although,
the Overwatch killing 2 guys was a big deal.
Yeah, because that's 8 more attacks.
Yeah.
And then I rolled poorly on the wound.
You did. And where I rolled poorly on the hitting, but I rolled really well on the wounding.
Yeah, so you had more average rolls. I had very much less than average.
Yes. So now that the combat is over, I would have normally had to take a morale test, but seeing as how I'm fearless, I automatically pass morale test, so the combat is over. So what you do is any models that are not in base contact must do a pile-in, which is a 3-inch move, starting with the player whose turn it is. That would be the orcs. So he has to move 3 inches, must try to get into base contact as much as he can. And now he is. And then I move...
I'm going to go here instead.
Sure, and then I move 3 inches and try to get into base contact, and if I can't, then I just try to get into combat. I think this guy would be 3 inches. Doesn't matter, they're all going to be in combat in a second. So there we go. And then that's the end of the assault. So it didn't go quite as well for the orcs, but it's kind of, you know, this is interesting because it actually now looks like you're pushing through the unit. Rather than before, it was always the guys at the back who died. Yeah, you would hit, and the other side would be here, but then they would all die from the back. But this is actually looking like you're clawing your way through the unit. That's kind of a neat visual. So we'll see how that looks in larger games where you've seen it all over the place, where the orcs are just kind of pushing their way through and getting surrounded by all the extra termagants.
Or more likely, a bunch of Terminators pushing in and the orcs just surrounding.
Yeah.
Surrounding.
That'll be neat. It'll create some interesting visuals. So let's go into Tyranid's turn 1.